Now, in fair warning, personally, I am not a professional meteorologist, and I don't typically wish or ever make videos like these on my channel, but for a weather pattern for this to happen, this for me feels like the most eeriest weather pattern I've ever seen in history of my life. So what you're looking at, especially on the eastern side of North America, particularly in the eastern side of Canada, part of the US, there is a weather system that's going on currently at this very moment that if I just decide to press the play button for you to see how this is transitioning through the next 6 hours, you can see how there's literally a low pressure system that's being followed by an extremely cold, an extreme cold front, let's say. And I'm not trying to use professional terms of, weather. I just hope you get the idea of what I'm trying to say, because I'm not a professional meteorologist. I just say that right now. But for something like this to happen, it feels creepy. It's like, here's a storm that literally just feels like it's just, the whole storm on its own feels like it's just hectic and chaotic on its own. But for it to be followed by a cold mass, here's the thing, okay? Let's say if I decide to go into temperatures. Now you can see even at the top where when I had the radar, you can see where's the rain from the least extreme to the most extreme. And you can see how it just goes through, especially through the first little moment where we have this front that just pushes all the way through. Red spots here and there probably indicating the most extreme weather in those areas. But when you look at the temperatures, let me just pull it back all the way here, okay? So this is at a time of around 5 in the afternoon, which is 17 o'clock. So for those who don't know the 24 hours, it basically translates to 13 hours being 1 in the afternoon, 14 hours being 2 in the afternoon, etc. So this is 4:59, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see how the eastern side of Canada particularly, feels like temperatures are in the mid-spring, but then immediately 6 hours later, it's being swarmed by so much cold. It feels like this is what you'd get typically in mid-January. Something like a temperature transition that would often typically take about 3 months to achieve, more or less, maybe even 2.5, 2 months, at a stable average. And this is going on, this 2-month transition, this 2-month typical transition rather, as I like to say, happens within 6 hours. If it will work for me, of course. So yeah, let me just play or whatever, I don't care. I'm using a non-professional service anyways. Just look at how it just cools down instantly. This feels like a scenario of the day after tomorrow. And I don't blame the conditions that have been going on. I only blame the fact that we're not supposed to have these temperatures that's almost near the 15 degrees Celsius mark in the end of February. This temperature right here is not normal. Something around this might be normal. This is obviously below normal. This happens in the middle of January. This only happens should happen once in a while. This is probably another wave of a polar vortex that's just coming in, swooping through the eastern side of Canada. And this might be normal for this time of year. It might be okay. But this right here, this yellow, that's not supposed to happen during the end of winter seasons. This typically happens mid-April, for how I see it on average at least. And for it to become from mid-April to suddenly becoming the middle of January is quite catastrophic. And with that leads this huge storm that is obviously producing strong weather conditions, strong winds, and potentially heavy downpours at times. But especially this storm right here is bringing strong winds, and I will show you what is going to be looking like for the next couple of hours. So from the same source, I have taken this snip just almost 24 hours ago. So when I took an image of how it would be at around Wednesday at 4 in the afternoon, it would be like 13 degrees positive near the area of Montreal, which is where I live. I'm not going to tell you whether I live in Montreal, live outside Montreal, or live very close or far away. But regardless, I live close enough to be within the vicinity of the weather conditions of Montreal. So around Montreal, Quebec, when I took the snip like a day ago, you could see how 4 in the afternoon would have temperatures of 13 degrees, which normally would feel like temperatures that are about mid-April, as I've said. And the fact that we've gotten, over the past 72 hours, temperatures like these, it only calls for such catastrophic events to happen in the weather system that, of course, is happening right now at this very moment of when I'm making this video. So overnight, it just immediately just drops to the opposite practice. It almost drops near accurate, just near opposite, from positive 13 all the way to negative 11. That literally is like a scenario that was made in the movie The Day After Tomorrow, for those who ever watched the movie. I've watched it. It's pretty cool, interesting, but I doubt the same thing's gonna happen where everything just instantly freezes and it would just, like, you know, cause catastrophic, you know, everyone's gonna die, and it's not gonna happen. I don't even think that's gonna happen anyways. Like, just dropping by like, what, 26 degrees Celsius? That's a drop of literally 24 degrees Celsius, in which, for those who uses Fahrenheit, at least for those who is interested in what's going on near my area where I live in Canada, who live in the US, so 13 degree positive is 55 Fahrenheit, and from 55 Fahrenheit drops immediately to 12 Fahrenheit. That's a drop of 40 degree Fahrenheit, or 40 Fahrenheit degrees, whatever. I don't blame my English for not being perfect. You get the point. It drops by like 40. That is so weird for it to happen. But anyways, this snip was taken like a day ago, but now when I'm taking a snip of what's going on right now, of course we see now it's snowing rather than the opposite of where it's just gonna, like, you know, snow, a little bit of light snow but wind. But now it's just snow, and snow wind happens later on, but still, it's just a little change. Not too drastic, but still pretty accurate. But still using the same source that I've used to show you the radar, it drops. Literally, we have this cold front that just meets up with the low pressure system that's currently right over me as I'm speaking right now, making this video. And there's this cold front that just mixes with this warm air that has happened and lingered around for like the past 72 hours, more or less. It just drastically warmed up. And for something to happen like this, it feels so eerie and creepy. I've never seen something like that happen. Anyways, for those who are interested to see what's going on later on, here you go. Here's the later conditions and temperatures, but from another source that will tell you specifically the wind in kilometers per hour, as well as the wind gusts, as well as the temperatures and how much precipitation is going to fall over the next couple of hours. So as of right now, 8 p.m, it is raining at positive 8 degrees Celsius. Look at that. From 8 p.m. to 1 a.m, it immediately drops by about 14 degrees, which is maybe like, what, 30 Fahrenheit, maybe? 25, 30 Fahrenheit. That's a huge drop, and I've never seen something. I have seen it happen, kind of, but only by like 10 at most, not by 13 or 26. From negative 13 to, like, from plus 13 to negative 13. But anyways, so from 8 p.m. with a wind gust of 93 kilometers an hour going to 1 a.m. where it's only going to remain steady around 80 kilometers an hour. Later on, it's going to just give some blowing snow, so the gusts are gonna slightly calm down, but still pretty, you know, annoying to know that's just gonna exist. It's gonna kind of keep itself steady over the next while during the morning of Thursday, and then afterwards it's going to start calming down by Thursday evening. And when I mean starting to calm down, it's going to really start calming down, and it should be clean weather as of Friday midnight. But still, for something like this to happen, I'm only making this video just to prove to myself that, oh yeah, This is what happened back in the past when it came to weather conditions that were really crazy. Last year was pretty crazy. There was a transition of a week's temperature from winter storm that gave a major ice storm that damaged a lot of infrastructure, especially trees and downed power lines in the island of Montreal especially. It was on the news for the entire day. It knocked out electricity to thousands of customers on the island itself, only to be recovered within a couple of days at best. And then immediately soon after, it suddenly became near summer temperatures. That was already pretty drastic on its own, but it took about a week. Here, we're looking at like mid-spring conditions suddenly turning to like middle of winter. Like there's an immediately just like, oh yeah, here's the fourth winter of the year, and it's coming with a bang. Literally is coming with this bang right over here. That's just headed northeast all the way through over the St. Lawrence River, just headed right through and beyond. It's just gonna be messy. It's gonna be catastrophic. And this scene right here feels so eerie. You're looking at this, it's like, oh my gosh, everything's freezing over. Fine, but then you look at the temperatures. If I pull it back like all the way here, if I can, thank you. And just look at it. It's just all yellow here, and then suddenly it's just like, oh, here's the polar vortex. And it just immediately turns right back into extreme winter conditions. Like, this feels like something that would happen in like the beginning or middle of February and happen every once in a while. But for it to happen at the end of February, when the temperatures were already like warming up gradually, that usually doesn't happen. So I'd say this right here is not normal. This might be okay. It's happening now, but here's the final wave. It should be at least. This, I'm saying, is not normal. And this right here is what's causing all of this right here going on right now. So I don't want to keep this video any longer than I already made it. This scene has turned out to be the most eeriest scene, the eeriest and creepiest scene in weather that I've seen as long as I've lived. And I would like to say again, I am not a professional meteorologist, so if I didn't give any accurate terms, I'm sorry, but I don't wish to mislead you or misinform you of anything that I've said, so don't really take my words for granted on how I feel about this, but I'm just letting you know what's going on right now, and I just want to upload this video regardless, because I usually don't, but for a scene like this to happen, it's creepy. Just look at how much red. This is literally something that you'd see in an average storm in the middle of summer, maybe in May, sometime at the beginning of May, maybe earliest. Not during February at even. And this feels so wrong. I don't even feel like it's happening in February. And the fact that it's happening during the, lunar, let's say, New Year days, because tomorrow is the 29th of February, which happens once every 4 years. To see something like this happen on this specific day, I don't know, it feels coincidental of something that I've spoken upon like a couple of weeks ago. Regardless though, this feels eerie. This feels like it shouldn't happen, and yet it's happening. Yeah. Climate change, it exists. If you don't believe in it, well, here's proof. If you still don't believe in it, then I'm sorry, you live in a cave. Anyways, yeah. I hope I informed you of anything that you never knew about, but yeah, I should upload this video as soonest as possible, because I have never seen this in my life. Especially in the month of February, with a condition that just turns from this yellow that feels like average temperature in the middle of spring suddenly becoming mid-January. That feels so weird. That feels so weird. Hope you guys enjoyed whatever rant I've made or whatever video I've done now, but I wish I could have done it shorter, but this creeps me out. How would something like this happen? Thank you for watching. I'm gonna upload this as quickly as possible ASAP. So, hopefully the most of people see this by now, but yeah. And meanwhile, I wonder what's flying outside my window, because I feel like something fell in the background when we're making this. I don't know. Well, it's probably because of the winter. Alright, I'll check on that now.